I'd like to call the March 13th, 2024 meeting of the Ogden Town Board to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd ask you to remain standing for a moment of silent reflection and prayer for our military servicemen and women serving around the world, as well as for our first responders. Today, we're going to equally keep our thoughts and prayers with the sergeant that lost his life in Batavia. Thank you. Thank you all for attending today's meeting. We've got a number of items to discuss, and before we get to those, ask for a motion to approve the minutes, Resolution 109.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Councilman Baker, seconded by Councilman Hinman. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Okay, next we have privilege of the floor. If there's anyone that wishes to address the board at this time, really on any topic, I'd invite you to come up to the microphone, state your name, your address, and then discuss anything that you'd like. What I would say is that the board is here to listen. We may or may not have an official response, but we are here to listen and for any questions or comments you may have. So, anyone like to address the board at this time?
Good evening. How's everybody tonight? Beautiful day.
Thank you.
My name is Patrick McCory. I live at 1 Kingsford Lane.
Yes, sir.
A couple weeks ago, I sent a letter to the town board regarding Noble Peregrine's proposal to withdraw the HOA from Ogden Heights. And I'm just here to find curious to see if there's discussion still ongoing between their attorneys and the town, and if there's any timeline for a resolution on that.
Very good.
Is that good?
Yeah, it was, and yes, there's certainly been conversation on it, and I'll ask our town's attorney to weigh in on any of the specifics. What I've educated myself on is just some of the issues regarding the senior zoning. As I understand, it does not allow for sheds, which is what you're interested in.
No, I'm not talking about that.
Okay.
I'm talking about the withdrawal of the HOA. I will talk
We're
about it if you'd
yeah.
like me to. I would.
Yeah. No, okay, so I get it.
support sheds in the area.
Yeah.
I do support that.
And my understanding is that the HOA is clearly an agreement between the residents and the developer,
Correct.
not with the town.
Correct.
But the town requires the HOA because of the senior zoning, and so here we have a long series of
Conundrum.
if this, then that.
Right.
So, yes, we are for sure aware of it. We've had conversations with the planning board attorney, with our town's attorney, and I guess that's where we're at currently, so.
Yeah, I was asked to look into it actually and talked with the attorney who, I guess, sent a letter to everyone.
Right, they sent a letter out in a request
And
for us to resign.
I know the attorney well, so I called him, asked him if I could see a copy of the letter since it went to everyone in the project, but not to anyone in the town in particular.
Did he send you one?
Huh?
Did you get one?
Not yet.
I got one, if you would like a copy.
No, but that's okay, because what I indicated to him was that it had been indicated to me that the letter indicated that the town was fully supportive of this. And
Basically, yes.
I asked him how he came to that opinion, because as a town attorney, I was not aware
You were
of
not
it.
aware of it.
I was not aware of that. And he indicated that he had in fact taken that information from his client, Noble Peregrine, and without any independent verification of whether or not it was true or not. So
Not a wise move.
I don't say, I just differed with him about sending a letter that made a statement that he couldn't support and had no reason to be able to
All
support.
right, that's understandable.
Which people could rely on if it were true or not true. And that was my only conversation was, I didn't think it was appropriate to say that until it was supported. Then I corresponded with the planning board attorney who indicated that there's an email correspondence, which basically indicates that there are other reasons why a homeowners association should be maintained, not the least of which was that it was a condition of approval, number one. And number two, that there are still sidewalks and other properties that need to be maintained in the future, and there's no vehicle to do that, other than the homeowners association. That was his general response.
Okay.
Yeah,
I also had a conversation with the attorney as well.
okay.
Okay?
And,
Go ahead.
was it planning board attorney? Or
No,
would
no,
you-
it was the Noble Peregrine attorney.
Yeah.
And what he related to me regarding the common areas and the sidewalks. One was the common areas would still be maintained by Noble Peregrine. That's what
Well,
he told me.
if they go away, which they could well do if
Right.
they have sold their last lot,
Right.
and, it's
Still
like,
own all the
it's
adjacent
like,
land though around.
it's like private drives that town is, allowed to exist in the future. When the developer goes away and the private drive falls apart, they come to the town and say, what can you do to help? No, I mean,
I
I'm not.
understand, yeah, I understand.
But, interestingly enough, actually, within the last 2 weeks, I was part of a closing, a typical real estate transaction which involved a homeowners association. And it reminded me that if anybody placed a mortgage on a property that was part of a homeowners association, one of the covenants with the bank is that you will never vote to dissolve the homeowners association, because the bank is relying on the fact that the common areas will be maintained
Correct.
at no expense to the bank.
That I understand.
And I don't know how many people bought for cash when they built their houses in that project and how many have a mortgage. But I would venture to say that every mortgage that's on any of those properties in that project has a similar covenant that the homeowners would be violating by signing a petition to vote to dissolve.
To remove the homeowners association.
So
Okay, I
that's where it really stands.
Okay, so it's still up in the air, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot of moving parts, and.
Right. Well, we
and-
just like to be kept in the loop. You know, we got this letter from the attorney. There's a higher expectations that it would be dissolved. And, we just want to stay abreast of it. That's
Sure.
all. Okay?
Yep,
Yeah.
thank you.
In addition to that, I do support, sheds in Ogden Heights. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else that wishes to address the board at this time? On any topic? Yes, sir. I saw you come in. I didn't want to. Come on.
I was trying to find an open, unlocked door.
Oh, I'm sorry.
If anybody really cares, the library gave me this phone number to contact somebody from the court if it's locked.
Okay.
They both said they're out of service.
Oh, goodness. Well, why don't you state your name, your address, and
My name is Mark Kesselring, and I live at 190 Widger Road. Got something that's come up a few years ago. I have for 20-some years been a volunteer instructor for New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation.
Wow.
For both snowmobiling and boating. And a few years ago, since I live in Ogden, I offered to provide services here. Did that for 2 years. And then it stopped. And not because of me. I have been doing this in Hamlin for 20-some years, and in Riga for 20-some years. And the nice thing about it is, they give me access to a room with, TV or board or whatever, and I don't have to charge a room fee for anybody. And I don't charge anything for my services. So if you're under 18, the state will give you a certificate for boating or snowmobiling upon successfully completing the course. If you're over 18, they charge you $10. When I went to do it, I got asked all kinds of questions in Ogden, and I said, well, New York State says they identify me because I'm doing it on a volunteer basis with them. And I gave them the number to call, and everything was fine. Then I was asking, Daniel, I don't know if you were around then, but I was asked to sign a sheet of paper from a lawyer for the town, and
here for 50 years and I never, I wouldn't know you if I ran into you.
Well,
Yeah.
we never met, okay, because, you know, when I got this and I came and, I can't think of the supervisor's name, Leonard?
Yep, Gay Lenhart, yep.
She was here, and she goes, well, why don't you just sign it? And personally, I said, you paid a lawyer to get this legal document, and I'm doing this on a volunteer basis. The state identifies me, you know who to call at the state and parks, and she told me you were gonna call me if you were here back then, because you were sick, and you couldn't, you know, and we never got together. So I never got a call, and then I never got approved to come back. So I
Well, then-
just want you guys to know that that happened. I don't know, you guys familiar, is anybody here familiar with Brianna's Law?
Yes,
Generally.
yeah.
Okay, anybody not familiar with Brianna's Law? Everybody knows what it is, huh? Okay. For everybody here, in order to operate a boat, you had to take a course and you had to be 18 to take the course. And then you were allowed to operate a boat. And then the personal watercrafts, jet skis, wave runners, I personally think, and my brothers and I owned them, but a lot of them were, you know, a little reckless and everything else, and they passed a law that they made everybody, they gave you like 5 years, they backed it up a year, backed the birthday up a year every year for 5 years. And then personal watercraft had to have everybody. And I remember talking to the sheriffs, and they said, we love the new law, Mark, because everybody's gotta have a course. They can't tell me that, oh, I'm 28, you know, it doesn't apply to me, and I'm in a swimming suit on, you know, a personal watercraft still on. So they got that. And then they drove what I call a stake in the ground for any other power boat, whether it be an inboard, outboard, a trolling motor, anything. And it was, I think, May 1st, 1996. Anybody born on or after that had to have the course. And then they came up with Brianna's Law a few years ago. And they set the date up in, I don't know, 1990 something, 1980 something. And they let that go for 2 years. So anybody operating a power boat has to have that course. And then they backed it up 5 years at a time. And they went for, I think it's like 1983 now, for 2024. And next year in 2025, everybody's gotta have the course.
Well, can I ask you a question, sir?
Sure.
Who was it that you were primarily working with in order to have the course take place here in
Board
town?
here, and
Yeah.
Well, there was probably-
I want to say, you know, and I appreciate your presentation, I do. I have no knowledge of what you were presented to sign. I would be glad to look at whatever it might be.
I don't even know if I bothered to keep it.
And I don't know that I'm positive I've never saw it, nor have I ever,
But I did get some comments, like with recreation, and again, this is a number of years ago now, okay?
Yeah, Mrs. Lenhart hasn't been
Well, I
here for 3
understand that.
years, yeah.
And I, you know,
I think I had surgery about 7 or 8 years ago.
it could have been, you know,
Yeah.
my wife and I had 8 kids, and we got 6 grandkids.
Yep.
We got a family in New Zealand, somebody going, you know, get a daughter going for a PhD in Nebraska, a guy in Chicago, and one in Ohio, and the other 4 in
Can I ask, are you voicing an interest in getting back into that training
Well,
process? Is
I'd
that?
like to know what you guys would think about, because I think it would be something good, especially when, you know,
gonna-
anybody who's got a boat of any power would like to do it. Because one of the things I got is, well, you know, if we give it to you on a Saturday, we gotta pay overtime for somebody to come in and open it and close it. I mean, it's not Manjas now, but whoever was there, and one of the, you know, the people in the restaurant would come over, they'd take their orders, they'd go back and get it, they'd come back with a cash box, so people didn't have to leave and wouldn't be late and everything else. That's the same thing I did in Hamlin and whatever, so I don't know what the objection was, I don't know if there still
Yeah,
We're
well,
not
what I,
familiar with it.
what I would say is that if you want to have a conversation, I mean, we can absolutely do that. There are obviously, for anybody that wants to use the community spaces, there's rules, there's things like that. But, I mean, I think the best way to do it is to come have a conversation. Kind of have to figure out where that conversation goes, if there's a specific department, or if that's something that can just work out, yeah.
Just the recreation.
And that's, I didn't want to say it and volunteer the rec director, but all I'm saying is if this is something that you want to pursue.
Hamlin
Yep.
and Betty Jo, and she's
Yep.
now the town clerk in Hamlin, but she used to be in recreation, and Dave Thomas is up here in Riga, and I've worked with him. And they just put it in their newsletter and make it available. So
Yeah,
that
if it's a
people-
community class, then that, it would make sense with rec. So why don't we have you leave your name and number then with Christian, and if you'd like to have a conversation on it, I think it'd be a really good thing to
Who should I
talk.
talk to?
Well, like I said, if you want to leave your name and number, we'll try to make sure. Yeah, I mean, I can personally reach out to you
Yeah,
and
I mean,
get
I
that.
always thought it was ironic that for 20-some years, I was doing it for Riga and Hamlin, and I did like 2 years here, and was asked to jump through a few hoops, and then never had any.
Well, New York State, right?
It's not a-
There's never a hoop to not jump through.
New York State and the federal government, that's a whole nother.
Yeah, I hear you.
So
Well, very good.
anyways, I thought since I had some time, I told myself, I'm
Sure.
gonna go down to the meeting and just go and see, I know, all the members, or most of the members have changed and
Yeah.
whatever, to see if it's something you guys
Sure.
wanna support, and not just like, oh, we'll let this guy use it. Is it something you guys wanna support?
Sure.
Safe boating, and Scott Akowicz used to do a safe snowmobiling course, or I used to do in Riga and Hamlin at the snow show for the Hilton Snow Flyers, and Scott would do it in the court, and I would come down and help him out with, Chris Segrossi and Jimmy Walker, 2 deputy sheriffs, and we do some of that stuff.
I've got
Very
just
good.
one,
Thank you.
one more question for you, sir. You say you're on record with the state. Is there any kind of a certificate or anything that you have that you, when you have the conversation with the supervisor or
I'll
whoever?
give you my number, I'm instructor number.
It's a certification number type thing? Okay,
Yeah, every year I have to fill out the volunteer service.
okay.
And
That,
now
that
we
would,
went online, and we do it online and whatever.
Okay.
But I used to do that, fill it out, name, contact number. Are you part of a marine organization like Coast Guard Auxiliary or some Power Squadron or something, which I'm not, are you part of law enforcement? I fill that out, and then they give me, and actually what I get is it's pretty much what everybody else would get. Credit card size card, laminated card, and it had my name on it, and it would have that I'm instructor good till, I think now, the one I got is December 31st, 2025.
Okay.
So I have that card, which is the official.
sure.
New
Yeah,
State.
my ignorance, not a challenge of the process. I was just curious if there was something.
Hey,
Okay.
remember Wilt Rogers?
Well, I can say.
Sal remembers
Some of us can say yes, but.
I mean, my favorite saying is attributed to Will Rogers. We're all ignorant, just on different subjects.
Oh, that's
Thank you
good.
for that.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Is there anybody else here that wishes to address the board? Yes, sir?
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Anthony O'Gene. I live at 2714 Spencer Court Road, across from the schools. Like everybody, well, not everybody, but a lot of people in the town are a little bit upset with their latest assessments. Percentages have gone all over the place. But now, I always believed that the Board of Assessment Review was pretty much made up of pretty non-biased people, but I'm reading here that they're all appointed by the board itself. And
Yes.
And even by the assessor.
yes.
Well, so yes, but the truth is that they are individual residents of the town. They're not employees of the town. They're not even necessarily people that we know or don't know. Pretty much every year, there's, I guess I can't say every year, but most years there's a vacancy, there's an opening. And so we try to keep a 5-person board every single year. And it is the board that appoints those people. It's similar to like the planning and zoning board. We don't we don't get to tell the planning or zoning board how to vote, but they do have to be appointed by the board in order to serve in this capacity. Not a single one of us show up to that.
Is there a criteria as far as, in the respective field that
Yeah.
they might be qualified in any way?
Yep, you're always looking for people with residential experience. So a lot of times you'll find people that are either attorneys or are realtors. Actually, that's kind of a big one. So people that have experience with,
Builders, possibly.
I don't know that we have any builders,
I mean,
but
people that
sure,
understand
property value and
exactly
assessment.
based on.
Yeah, and so the way that it works, sir, is that, and I've never been to one, so,
You've never been to what, a board
of assessment review.
Okay.
But what happens is the board basically sits in a room like this.
I have been.
Oh, you have, so you know more than I do.
Yeah, but I guess I was a little bit surprised to read
Yeah.
how it was created,
Yeah.
or is
Yeah,
today.
the state law requires that the board appoint people who live in the town and have an interest in sitting on the board. The board
Yeah.
does
So
interview.
it's not really about qualifications so much.
Well, I mean, the board does interview people, and if someone has no experience in any of those fields as opposed to someone who might have some, they're probably gonna prefer one over the other.
Yeah. Yeah, and if, I mean, to be quite honest with you, we didn't have 100 people looking to be on the Board of Assessment Review this year. But, so it's the best of what we interview and in the opinions of the people that are part of the interview committee. But yeah.
Okay, one other quick question then related to this is, the informal review.
Yes.
I read somewhere that to go to the 15th, you have to, apply, or set up a schedule.
I have
I think the
here,
notice said you have to have it in by the end of the month.
yeah, March 31st.
March 31st.
Okay,
And then they're gonna schedule those informals
okay.
once they,
In
I
time
don't know if
for-
they're scheduling them, if you send it in tomorrow, if they would schedule it,
Yeah.
or they're gonna wait to the end of the month.
I see. All right, very good. Thank you.
Yeah,
very
no,
much.
thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thanks for time out.
Anybody else that has any questions? Yes, sir.
Well, I am in here at number 7, Rod Potter, 9 Ivydale Place. So I don't know if I should get up and speak now, or if, it's in the correspondence thing here. Number 7, I'm the shed guy.
Oh, gotcha. Well, correspondence is not an item on the agenda.
Okay.
Correspondence is basically our ability to communicate with the board that we received a correspondence, but it's not necessarily an agenda item. But yes, this would be the
Well,
appropriate
then
time.
I am up here to
Yes, sir.
discuss. I'm hoping to start a discussion with the town as to what we can get for relief over at Ogden Heights for those of us who have to maintain our own yards. I got a 42-inch John Deere tractor in my garage and all my front porch furniture and everything else that I swear it all fall in the winter. I'm running out of there. Normally, HOAs are to be maintained by the HOA. Ours is specifically, any homeowner who owns a home has to maintain their own house, inside and out. The town approved it, and it's an onus on us, because now
Right.
we gotta put all this stuff away. I probably got $1,000 worth of hardware underneath my deck. I put a deck on the back of the house, and I got 3 foot of clearance. Well, in that area, there's a dump truck, there's an aerator, there's a dethatcher, and it's all just rusting away because it's not protected.
Yeah, so my understanding is that as part of the HOA, they do not maintain your lawn. Is that correct?
Right.
Which is part of the agreement,
Which,
right?
well, it's also opposite of what the town code is. Town code basically says all HOAs are to maintain all properties. So I don't know if
I think what it says actually is they're supposed to maintain all common areas.
well, I believe it also says everything, it doesn't break it out as to homes and whatever, okay?
I don't know, were you here earlier when the other gentleman?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's where the town is presently with this.
Well, that's with the HOA. But the thing of it is the town approved our HOA. And there's a couple of things in there that are the opposite of what the town code says. Our lots are all supposed to be small, about 1/4 of an acre. I've got over 1/2 an acre. All supposed to be maintained by the HOA. In ours, on page 6, and the HOA specifically says, if you own a patio home, you are to maintain it. Well, my lot backs up to the R1 district behind me. I got sheds, boom, boom, boom. My lot's just as big as theirs. I maintain my own yard. We need to talk about this and come up with something as a solution. Luckily, I have a 4-foot return on my garage doors on either side. There's a lot of people down there that only have a 2-foot return, which maybe they might have 21 inches or 20 inches inside. So they're pulling their cars in, and then over here you got garbage cans and lawnmowers and whatever. And there was, when I went around to do the petition, there was some people that were worried about somebody putting up a shed, a big one of these small lots. But I went online and I looked up the code. The shed, or even with your main structure and the shed, it can't be any more than 25% of the lot. So that right there would regulate your sizes. As to my lot, I got over 5,000 square feet that, I could play with. Now, the town code does allow accessory structures, but they distinctly, in the last section of the code, prohibit sheds. Now, my neighbor, 2 doors down from me, 3 or 4 years ago, he went in front of the planning board, because when we were building in there, I worked directly with Mark Falone, okay? I worked with Mark out in a different district. I knew they built a nice house. My wife and I, at the time, we were looking at a lot. We were looking at lots because we wanted to maintain our own yard. We didn't want to be tied into an HOA where they all look the same, or you have to do this, you have to do that. So when we're talking with Mark, it's like, well, yeah, and he was specific. He said, you have to maintain your own. Not a problem, that's what we're looking for. How about sheds? Well, you'll have to apply to the planning board. Okay? Well, we did apply to the planning board, and they shot us down.
Is that because in the senior district that sheds are prohibited? Is that why?
Sheds are prohibited.
So there's your problem.
That is my problem.
Right.
But it's an onus that was brought on because the town didn't follow its own codes. They signed off on it. So I don't know if there were resolutions. I don't know if there were variances for this particular HOA to, trouble is, we gotta maintain our own yards, just like the people behind me in the R1 district.
Which is where sheds are allowed.
Which is where, we are the only district, the residential district in the town of Ogden that prohibits sheds.
So I'll just say, I'll give my 2 cents. First of all, is that obviously we need to look into it, right? As Mr. Shum said. Secondarily, I just wonder this. I just think this. If there's people that specifically decided to move into a senior district because they didn't want sheds, and suddenly we've decided now that they're all built and everybody's moved in, that now sheds are allowed, there's a chance that we're providing an opportunity for people to have sheds when there's their neighbors that didn't want them.
Yeah, but you see, you have an HOA and a house subdivision over across from the high school. I always want to call it Mayflower, but it's not Hickory Hollow, okay? And they are a strong HOA. They take care of everybody's yards, they plow their roads and their driveways,
And
and they have a community center.
Yep.
We already got rid of the community center.
Yep.
The builder wants to get out of the HOA, which
Right.
is between you, and I know the town doesn't enforce HOA regulations, okay? I know that. But the town kind of put us in this position. I wouldn't have bought in there if I wouldn't have been able to take care of my yard.
But that code was there before you bought.
And like I told you, Dan, shame on me for not looking into the town code when I'm talking to the builder and he's telling me something else.
And I understand. I
Okay.
understand the predicament you're in, and I hope you understand the predicament that
I understand, I know, but we need to start a conversation here because we need to come up with an answer.
well, I don't know that there is an answer, but yes, the conversation should take place. And, I don't know that the conversation is gonna make you or.
I mean, I don't want to start suing people,
But
suing the
look at-
town or anything else. I think we should be
People
able
sue
to talk about
people
this
sue
and come
people
up with an answer.
every day, okay? You're welcome to bring a lawsuit. You brought.
I don't want to.
You went to the planning board, you went to the zoning board, and they enforced the code as it's written. I can't say that they did a bad thing, because that's the way
I
the
can't
code
say
is.
they did a bad thing either, you got them over a barrel. They can't approve something that's specifically prohibited, so we need to change it.
Well,
That's what,
you-
that's what we do. If
That's what we-
something doesn't work,
That's what we have to, that's what the board has to.
You work around
That's what the board has to consider, okay? It's not that they have to do anything, but it's something the board, you've asked the board to consider.
all right,
And,
well, I hope to get an answer.
okay.
I'll sit down with a workshop, I offered that at the planning board, the one night when I got up to speak there, and I told them, they told me I wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, I think you've made all of the points that you have made previously, at least once or twice or three times already. You know, we understand, you know, could you put an addition on your garage? And instead of, why is that?
Well, because I can't go out to the north of me, and I don't wanna go out, the back comes off, the garage doesn't go to the back of my house. What am I gonna come off, the back bedroom? I eliminated a third bedroom in my house so I could have a workshop. The workshop is occupied by a freaking tractor and lawn furniture.
Well, I'm
And I
just,
know it's not any of your problems, but it's mine,
I understand.
and we need to do something about it,
Okay.
okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I hope to hear from somebody.
Is there anybody else that would like to address the board at this time? Okay, if not, I'm going to close privilege of the floor, and we will move to reports and remittances. Let's see, can I get a motion on resolution 110?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Councilman Tom, second by Councilman Baker. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Town audits resolution 111.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Tom, second by Councilman Gerbino. Any discussion on this? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Yes, you will notice, has been said already, that there's a couple of correspondences. There were a couple of employees and board members that went to the Association of Towns Annual Meeting and Training School. There was a gentleman that did present a petition regarding proposed amendment Town Code Section 336C, Senior Citizen Housing District, as was discussed, something we gotta look at. I mean, zone's the zone, and if something needs to be addressed with the developer, then that's where it goes. There's also a letter received by the town clerk in regards to the Board of Assessment review. Moving on to reports from town officers. So March 1st was Employee Appreciation Day. We delivered some pizzas to different departments and to the employees. I know that the Wellness Committee got little notebooks that just say you were awesome and delivered them to everybody. I thought that was really kind, really nice. Our assessor's office sent out the 2024 assessment disclosure notices last week. Notices include information pertaining to every property owner's new preliminary full value assessment. You know, as again was discussed tonight, there is informal reviews for anybody that may disagree with that assessed value. That's their opportunity. And if they still don't like the decision from that, there is, and yes, a very independent Board of Assessment review made up of town residents, and that they can state their case there as well. They are accepting requests until March 31st, which was also already said tonight. On Friday, we did conduct interviews for the Board of Assessment, and you'll see that there are 3 different individuals that were found qualified to fill the vacancies there. I've had a couple meetings with David Hines, who is the, I guess, the director of the Historical Society, and as part of that, oversees the Colby Pulver House. And they've got some issues going on over there. We've had, the county has actually really paid some interest in helping. I mean, it is on, it belongs to the county. It's on county property, even though it is in the town and is run by them. And we've had 2 different times of having engineers go out there and assess what's going on, and that to me shows active engagement, and excited for that. hopefully we'll come up with something there. There was a grant that was written, I think 2019, maybe before then, and was preliminarily approved, and then COVID happened, and we're still trying to get a hold of that. But that should be a good chunk for them to help out, plus the county portion. So we've been really actively engaged in that and helping them out. We have completed the solar eclipse map. I should have brought a copy of that because it's really cool. And we are sending it to residents that receive the Westside News. We're sending it out on Sunday. If anyone would like a copy of that map, we do have them up in the clerk's office where they've been giving away glasses all day. We're pretty much out of them, unfortunately. But what I will say about the map is that we did have people that sponsored, that contributed to the creation. So this is not something that we're spending taxpayer dollars on. And equally, the glasses were donated as well. So really grateful for our community partners in participating in this. Two other things on the solar eclipse. Town Hall will be closing at noon the day of the eclipse. This is just to allow for our staff to get home safely, but also to allow for residents to just know probably not a great time to come to Town Hall during all that. We obviously have employees working that day, but Town Hall will close at noon. Speaking of employees that will be working that day, had a good conversation again. We've been talking nonstop on this, but with Chief Gray. We've got a couple areas of concern really as it relates to roads coming in and out of the town of Sweden, which that's where one of the big places are. We've had some conversations with the highway superintendent about potentially looking at diverting traffic here and there. Most of the conversation involves 31, Hubble Road, Colby, Ledgedale Airport is having an event, Arrowhead's having an event. Arrowhead's technically in the town of Sweden, but it's that road, the Gillette Road there. Gillette Road Bridge is closed. So, I'm sorry, Gallup. The Gillette Road Bridge is also closed. The Gallup Road Bridge is closed, and so there's really not many ways to get in and out of there. And so active conversations with the police department, special police, and follow-up conversation with the highway department to just help us with that. They've already offered their support for that. But really good plan in place, and just preparing for it to be difficult, hoping that it won't, but making sure that we've got things in place. I know the fire department is full staff at all their stations. Police department will be full staff. Highway department will be full staff. So we're ready to go. I guess one other thing, we continuously work on our policies and procedures manual, trying to continuously come up with mission and vision statement that the wellness committee is helping out on. If you read my letter from AOT, a lot of it has to do with policies and procedures and a lot of the courses that we learned there. So I believe that's it for now. Councilman Baker.
I'm all set, thanks.
All right. Councilman Gerbino.
Nothing to report.
Councilman Hinman.
I too had the opportunity to attend that Association of Towns, and I didn't make a nice write-up, but I did want to just say I think it was a good opportunity to not only learn some things to bring back to the town, but also it was nice just to meet with other surrounding town officers as well, and to kind of collude with them as far as learning stuff and bouncing ideas off. Also, I wanted to check my notes here. I also wanted to just make mention of one of our longtime zoning board members, Frank Claire, who's stepping down. He's been serving that board for quite a long time, and he's had some health issues, but I just wanted to wish him well and make sure we offer him our thoughts and prayers. So, and other than that, I'm all set.
Very good, thank you. Councilman Toms.
Thank you. Yeah, board members should have the ARPA report in front of them. Right around Christmas, or maybe just a little after, I'd asked Sherry to start looking at the ARPA funds that remain, and because we have to have it allocated by the end of this year, as you all well know. So most of this stuff should all look familiar to you. You can see the balance coming into this year at the top there was $604,240.36. And then the several resolutions that were put in place for the splash pad, the police fence, the air conditioning in the highway, and the splash pad, and the municipal program that is used in the building department. And then you see the committed dollar amount there of $472,034, and then the remaining uncommitted dollars of $132,206.36. So that's what we have to have spent by the end of the year. It's not a lot left out of what we had originally. So that's all on that. Secondly, I did attend the Sons of the American Legion meeting on Monday, and a reminder that the ham raffle is this Saturday at the Legion Post from 1 to 5. That's all I got.
I just want to point out that the opening ledger balance was closer to the number that I had originally said on that, which was given to me. Did you notice that?
I did not notice that, but
I think, one thing that's become, very apparent, and I got to give Sherry a lot of credit, taking over some of these things in the middle of that, between what's been encumbered, what's not encumbered, what's been spent, what's in the bank. And so I mean, and she was very upfront and said, I think I just
and I
need
think
more.
that's obviously where she bounced that number
Yeah.
from. But, obviously the committed dollars had not been withdrawn from there yet, so.
100%, yeah.
So,
Very good. Thank you, Steve.
thank you.
Highway Superintendent is not here. Town Clerk, Noel Burley.
Basically spent the whole day passing out, Eclipse classes today. We have just a handful left. I'm sure they'll be gone first thing tomorrow morning.
Yeah. We had an article going in the paper this Sunday that talked about the glasses that we have. And after today, we changed it to had and thanked Rohrbox for their donation. Mr. Shum, Town Attorney.
I don't know.
Anything?
Bunch of stuff the last couple of weeks, but nothing of, I did meet with Steve on a personnel matter that I'll discuss with the board later on this evening. That's it.
Very good. Okay, well, there being no other unfinished business, we will move into new business. So, Madam Clerk.
Resolution 1112, authorizing Ogden Town Supervisor Mike Sal to execute a property access request with the USDA, allowing the agency to place European cherry fruit fly hanging traps in the right-of-way of town roads.
So moved.
I'll second.
Moved by Councilman Gerbino, seconded by Councilman Toms. Any discussion on that? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next, please.
Resolution 113, authorizing the acceptance of a donation of 2024 solar eclipse glasses to the town of Ogden from Rohrbox Brewing Company located at 3859 Buffalo Road, Rochester, New York.
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Councilman Baker, seconded by Councilman Hinman. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Item carries. Next, please.
Resolution 114, authorizing the town of Ogden to participate in the Gardenier Foundation Semi-Quincentennial 2024 Summer Fellowship Program.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Hinman, seconded by Councilman Gerbino. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next, please.
Resolution 115, authorizing Ogden Town Supervisor Mike Sal to execute for and on behalf of the Town of Ogden, an emergency management assistance compact reimbursement agreement and certification certifying that the Town of Ogden provided emergency services in the amount of $86,680.16 and is entitled to be reimbursed for the same.
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Councilman Gerbino, seconded by Councilman Hinman. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next, please.
Resolution 116, authorizing Ogden Town Supervisor Mike Sal to execute for and on behalf of the Town of Ogden a reimbursement agreement by and between the Town of Ogden and the New York State Department of Transportation under its intrastate mutual aid program.
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Councilman Gerbino, seconded by Councilman Hinman. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next, please.
Resolution 117, authorizing Ogden Town Supervisor Mike Sal to sign the amended municipal snow and
So moved.
I'll second it.
Moved by Councilman Baker, seconded by Councilman Toms. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next, please.
Resolution 118, authorizing Ogden Town Supervisor Mike Sale to execute for and on behalf of the Town of Ogden a professional service agreement by and between the Town of Ogden and MRV Group as part of the town's splash pad replacement project.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Moved by Councilman Gerbino, seconded by Councilman Toms. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next, please.
Resolution 119, authorizing Ogden Town Supervisor Mike Sale to execute field use agreements on behalf of the Town of Ogden with Spencerport Junior Baseball and Softball, Spencerport Youth Lacrosse, and Spencerport Soccer Club for the 2024 sports season.
I'll move that.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Hinman, seconded by Councilman Gerbino. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next, please.
Resolution 120, authorizing the hiring of Deegan Bragg to the full-time position of Maintenance Mechanic 3 in the Town of Ogden Building and Grounds Maintenance Department.
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Councilman Baker, seconded by Councilman Toms. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries.
Resolution 121, authorizing the appointment of John Gentile to serve the remainder of a vacated term on the Town of Ogden Board of Assessment Review.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Toms, seconded by Councilman Baker. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next, please.
Resolution 122, authorizing the appointment of Lee Arbogast to serve the remainder of a vacated term on the Town of Ogden Board of Assessment Review.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Gerbino, seconded by Councilman Hinman. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next, please.
Resolution 123, authorizing the appointment of Jared Hurt to serve the remainder of a vacated term on the Town of Ogden Board of Assessment Review.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Moved by Councilman Hinman, seconded by Councilman Toms. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. I'm going to make a motion that we move to work session.
Second it.
Seconded by Councilman Toms. All those in favor?
Aye.